Great defeaters, new and old. We're back for another, this time live, episode of The Breakdown with your hosts, BaseDaKID, Tony, Pugilistboy. We are the children of the game. Tony, how are you doing, man?
I'm very well, my friend. Yeah, I've had a great week. Like yourself and many of the defeaters, I took the opportunity to see our good friend Travis J at the Soho Theatre. Of course, that was last week, Tuesday. Fantastic night, great entertainment. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, we had an interesting weekend of boxing. Not much to go in terms of shows, but the two shows that were available gave us plenty to be able to review. So we have a full show plus a lot of little bits extra this week. Just in the last few days, even the last few hours, I've been seeing stuff and it's like, wow, boxing's on a high. Boxing's a lot of stuff is going on. So without further ado, let's get in and see who's in the
Yeah,
house.
who's in the chat?
So I know Mulla was in from about 6:30 because I was setting up the show, and I see my man in there. So Mulla, as always,
Respect.
welcome. First in the house. Good to see you, bro. Mr. A, Uncle Jonah, Jay Lands, Osborne, North Bank Bren, Ash, and Danny. Good to see you all, guys, one and all.
Yeah,
Thank you very
shout
much.
out to Mr. A, Mulla, Ash, well, the other Ash, the one that doesn't come on the streams. Yeah, because they was all, and Osborne, they was all there on Saturday, for the finale of Son of David. Hey, it was a great night. I missed the first half, but it's all right because the second half more than made up for it. So shout out to Trav, man. Much love and respect
Excellent,
every time.
excellent. So yeah, also welcome Jam Down. So we had two cards really this weekend gone. One in the UK, one in the US. Which one you want to start with?
You know what? I'll let you pick because I'll be honest. Even though I skimmed the boxer card because obviously I was out, so I kind of watched it a little bit the following day, but I wasn't really paying huge attention. I was tired. I was in and out of sleep. So I did see the Denny fight and I saw the Eggington fight, but I couldn't break them down to you because I wasn't paying attention like that. But they looked good
Okay.
from what I remembered seeing. So it's up to you. Where do you want to go?
All right. Let's start in the UK. We'll get that out the way real nice and quick with what we've got because you and I both didn't see the whole show. I really didn't take a huge interest in some of the lower um, fights, but I did see some of Dylan Chima, Adam Azim, and the Edgington fight. Now I got a little bit of footage, only a little bit. It's from the crowd, so here we go. A little bit of the Sam Edgington fight for the IBO world title.
Yeah, it looked entertaining enough from what I watched. I will go back and like go through it, but yeah, it looked like it was a fun little fight. And Eggington, I guess he deserves that because he's been in a lot of wars. Probably shouldn't have been in some, a bit like Cheeseman, but he's always good entertainment to watch. So respect and obviously congrats for him for getting the victory.
Yeah, I mean, look, this Sam Eggington has been around as long as I can remember. I mean, he seems to have been in boxing for just the longest time. I remember him in battles way back when. And he is a road warrior, and he's worked his way. He's been on Channel 5. He's been on ITV. He's been on, what I mean, anywhere and everywhere this guy finds himself. So he's the ultimate street warrior who just goes out and does his craft. He works hard in the gym. I have seen him live in person a couple of times actually. but he's just a hard-working fighter. And you know what? Just goes to show, keep working hard, and your reward will come to you. So it looked like a tough fight. It wasn't anything special. There's nothing to write home in terms of fantastic technique, or it was just one of those gritty fights. Two guys came with a decent record, and Eggington clearly wanted it more. He's in his hometown of Coventry. So, he had the backing of his fans. They seemed quite loud on TV. You could hear them shouting for him. So, that I think spurred him to the victory. And, congratulations go out to him.
Yeah, much respect. Also, big respect to Maestro in the chat. I see him in there. North
Good
Bank
man.
Bren as well. Oh, okay. Everyone's coming in now. Respect.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Ash is saying that the Denny River Wilson Bent fight was a decent one. Did you see that one?
I saw it, but like I didn't. Again, I wasn't watching it to analyze. It was on, and I was watching in between falling asleep and waking back up. But from what I saw, it was entertaining.
So I didn't see that, so I can't comment, unfortunately. So I'm going to have a watch of that at another time, Ash. But yeah, there was a lot of boxing on that card. At ringside was Amir Khan, and he clearly was showing his support for Adam Azim. And Adam came through with lightning destruction in his fight. The kid looks special. The kid's got very fast hands,
Yeah.
and I can see the resemblance between Amir Khan and Azim, because they both have, that very fast, languid, long punching style, So there's a lot of hype, especially from Amir Khan, about his fellow Pakistani boxer. So we'll see how he progresses. Anything more that you want to talk about on that card?
No, not really. I mean, Art Install, Masakaide wasn't anything special, but she did okay. Azim, yep, he did what he was supposed to do, but obviously we will tell the real tests of that when he actually steps up the levels a bit more. But yeah, other than that, I mean, like I said, the Denny fight was it looks like a good one. They deserved their time, and Eggington deserved his moment. So congrats to both of them. Hopefully the card that Boxer has on the 30th is a bit better in terms of overall quality. But yeah.
Cool. So we'll move on, and we move to what was the main event for the night. 4 world titles on the Matchroom DAZN card.
Well, it's only 3 because Martinez was that fight got cancelled, so it was 3.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, three world titles from San Antonio. Was it San Antonio?
Yeah,
San Antonio. And literally this card to me was the christening of the coming into the fold of Bam Rodriguez. So I've got some silent footage, which is mainly made up of pictures from the fight. If you want to talk over it, give us your view on this.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bam Rodriguez made Rong Versailles look old. He made him look slow. He made him look like a novice. Like I've never seen well, actually no, that's a lie. I have seen 22-year-olds with that level of skill, but it's the skill and the composure that was impressive to me, because in the Quadras fight, he got a little bit happy in the pocket at times, and obviously took some shots he didn't need to, but he wasn't listening to his corner necessarily. This time he came in very disciplined, didn't go into combination punching more than say 2 or 3 punches at a time, except for towards the later rounds. Kept his feet just outside of Wrong Versailles, punches to make sure that he was able to move out. Kept his elbows tucked whenever Wrong Versailles tried to go to the body. Slipped and blocked a lot of the headshots. So he took a couple, but he took them and ate them quite cleanly. And after the third round, as he said, the power started to sort of dip off a little bit. It wasn't as difficult for him to deal with after round three. And that's when he stepped on the gas, showed those levels, those angles, that footwork, the speed, and the precision. And yes, a new star has arrived. And as long as he, maintains and just keeps building on that, however many fights a year, I think he should be taking about 3 or 4 fights a year, even if they're not against like the best opponents. Like he's had 2 hard ones back to back technically. He's quite happy you can have a little defense now if you want, and then top it up with maybe a bigger one towards the end of the year, or have 2, sort of tick over fights now and then have another big one next year. Like just keep active. As long as he keeps active and keeps his name out there, his star's gonna grow.
So yeah, to give you my rundown, I done what I don't always do, but I kind of was so impressed. I've watched this fight a couple of times now, and I wrote some things down. So the things that got me were the footwork. One of the things that I must say is I think Wrong Versailles make Bam look good because he's clearly slowed down considerably over the years. He's been in some proper battles.
Agreed.
And one of the things I noticed is his footwork was not very good. In fact, he literally just plodded forward. He walked forward the whole time, and he just threw short hooks, short uppercuts with the hope that his power would overcome the young kid. And I think that his whole plan was to just outwork the kid with power. And obviously, Bam was ready for that. His angles were amazing. One of the things that I noticed round 3, he started doing that, coming with the jab, then pivot off the front foot so he creates a new angle and coming with an uppercut. And it was just lovely. It was like, they actually said in that round that Rodriguez is a huge fan of Lomachenko. And I could see that because there was clear similarities in the way he created new angles from the front foot pivot to even disappear from sight from Wrong Versailles and end up punching him when he least expects it because he's not able to see where the punch is coming from. What else have I put in? Round 4, he starts moving in with the power shots and working against Wrong Versailles. You could see from the early rounds he was literally just biding his time, looking at what he was doing, trying to work out the timing. And once he got that and he established that, by round 4, he was just teeing off on Wrong Versailles. Round 7, he starts throwing a beautiful screw uppercut. It's long distance. It's straight through Wrong Versailles' guard. It's a beautiful shot. And it's at that point that, in fact, he catches him with an overhand left. And that's what spins Wrong Versailles and lets him touch down in the 7th round. Now, that knockdown, to me, it's a knockdown because he puts both his hands on the floor. But actually, it's a slip, if you look at it. And then from then on in, he kind of knows, you know what, I got this guy's number. And he's just going in. And the finishing combination, I counted it, 20 punches unanswered. It's just a fusillade of punches that finish off Wrong Versailles, and the referee comes in to save him. So, the crowd is ecstatic. Again, this is another home crowd. So you can see, you can hear the crowd are going ballistic. The kid's got star power. He's obviously very popular. I don't know what the figures are for people in attendance, but I'm pretty certain that looked like a full house to me. And I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes, obviously, on the back of what he achieved. He was rewarded with a new multi-year deal by Matchroom. because they can clearly see that, you know what, we better tie this kid down because he's a star in the making. And yeah, that was definitely his coming out party. Let's see what else people have got to say. I've got a super chat here. Here we go. Thank you as always to Ash. Always comes in with a super chat. Bam is a technician of the highest level, yet he's still a killer. He's a different one when it comes to the new breed. Absolutely agree with that. He's definitely something different to some of the others in the new gen of fighters. There are some others that, you know, show similar capabilities, but he's you know, they're few and far between, and he definitely shows some great capabilities. Your thoughts, Space, following on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's got everything to be you know, to be the next big thing. As I've already christened him that, you know, taking that from Brock Lesnar from 2002. Yeah, I definitely think like he's got everything to be that guy. And whereas there aren't, you know, any heavyweights in the US at the moment that people necessarily talk about, apart from Jared Anderson, who's obviously still building his profile. It's going to be the lower weights. They're going to be the you know, the people that take on those mantles. The welterweight division, like the guys that everyone wants are kind of coming towards the ends of their career. So you've got guys like Bam, you've got guys like Shakur, you've got guys like Haney. This is like the new generation. Even Boots and Virgil Ortiz, they're still young in that. Conor Ben. So the lower weights are going to start getting their shine. And as long as they all have the mentality that most of them do of, look, we want undisputed, we want to fight the best. We don't care about networks and politics. Let's just fight as many of the top guys as we can. They're all going to kind of break out into that mode. But I just got a feeling he's going to be towards the top of that list, if not right at the very top. And to answer Danny's question, does Bam's impressive performance make me put Robert Garcia amongst the top trainers? I mean, look, I've never said that Robert Garcia is a bad trainer. He's a very credible trainer who's trained many top quality fighters. My issue with him is that I don't think he's the right person you get in for your, you know, for your heavyweight salvo when you've got everything on the line, and he's never had a point of reference for you to look at to say this is, you know, this is the right guy for me that can, you know, either change my style or my tactics or my attitude or whatever. There's no point of reference to suggest that. So my whole thing was, you should, if you're going to go with someone that's either a specialist in heavyweight boxing or heavier weight boxing, or you go with, if you have him, you make it a much longer process, not when you've got everything on the line in your next fight. But I have no issue with Robert Garcia as a trainer whatsoever. Never have.
Okay, so MC Tasty came in with a follow-up comment to Danny's question, saying that the Garcias work their fighters hard and they don't have a long shelf life. I'm not so sure if that's really true. Is that?
Well, I mean, Mikey's just retired now. He's only 34. It's not like he was, you know, like at the end like he's younger than me, he's younger than a lot of the people in the chat. He's now retired. There has been quite a few, to be honest, where, because remember, his style
Well,
is
Mikey
very,
started from baby. You know, his brother's been boxing since he was like a child. So
yeah.
Mikey was in the gym from like he was just able to walk.
Yeah, but coming back to obviously McTasty's point is, like, if you look at a lot of Garcia's fighters, they normally do end up being finished or on the severe decline from around sort of 31 and on. So, and if you look at their regiments, they do have a, you know, a very hard, grueling career. A lot of them, none of them really practice like defensive work or not getting hit. It's all about sort of attritional, you know, sort of find your angles on the inside, sometimes take one to give one. The only one who really was like really slick, to be honest, was Mikey, who was able to defend himself a lot of the time. So I kind of agree with that to a degree.
Okay. I moved back down to 112, as you suggested, maybe a great way to continue growing his commercial success whilst minimizing any chance of defeat. I mean, he mentioned about moving down weights. It's an interesting scenario, actually, because immediately upon doing what he's done, you kind of start looking and thinking, well, what's next for him? And obviously it's a division or a set of divisions with some real killers in it. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? This. Hopefully you can see some of the names on this chart, guys. Some really great fighters in Estrada, Chocolatito, Ioka, Martinez. Joshua Franco was in action this weekend as well, and of course his brother Francisco Rodriguez, who he says he's about to leave that division, so his brother can get that division's belts.
Now his brother's Joshua Franco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I confused myself.
His full name's Jesse Rodriguez Franco. That's his full name.
Right. Okay. So
yeah, Joshua's fighting Joshua's gonna be fighting Estrada next. And then if he beats Estrada, basically he becomes a WBA super champ, but he also becomes the #1 contender for the WBC belt because of obviously the whole franchise designation thing. Although Mauricio Suleiman did say that if Estrada doesn't fight Chocolatito next, then he's going to be stripped of the designation of franchise anyway. So maybe that might not affect Jesse and Joshua. So he might not. But he said that if at the end of the day, if his brother becomes a mandatory for any reason, he's just going to vacate the belt because that's his brother's weight division anyway. He moved up there for a fun time. He'll quite happily go back down to 112 or maybe 108. Kayaguchi's down there. You've got obviously He Who Shall Not Be Named in 112 and Nakatani as well. Those are all good fights. He could even come back up to 115 and they could do a Klitschko thing where they just hold all the belts between the two of them. So
it's funny you mentioned Nakatani.
Yeah, I mean that's another brilliant fight.
He wants a piece of that. That actually is a great fight. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nakatani. He's quietly been doing his business, and again, one of these stars in the making potentially. So yeah, that would be a good fight, as you said, Wayne Fitness.
Yeah, I'd love that fight, the Nakatani fight. Also, again, I don't necessarily want him to go back down to 108 only because I feel like, he can probably still make it quite comfortably, but because he hasn't been down there for like a year and he's a person still growing, like he's 22, his body's filling out. There's no reason to now drain yourself down there if you don't have to when you're even more comfortable at the bigger weight, even though it's not your natural weight yet. I think the 112 should be where he caps. And if anything, if any of the 108 guys really want to challenge him, then I would say make them come to 112 or do a catch weight of maybe like 111 or 110 or something. But yeah, 108, there's no need. I think he should leave that division alone now. But the only fight really down there is Kayaguchi, and there's another guy called what's his name? It starts with an N, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think it serves you any good stripping yourself down to weights which are way beneath that which you perform so well at. It just not worth it. I think go down to 112 and let guys at 108 come up and see you there.
Yeah.
So yeah. And as North Bank Brenner said, 108 at his age, there's no need. So yeah, great fight. The kids are, gonna be high on a lot of our radars now. To see where he goes next and what fights we can see from him. So let's move on, shall we?
Yep.
So, Jessica McCaskill.
Against Alma Ibarra. So, I mean, Jessica's very deceptive, right? Because when you look at the way she fights, a lot of it, she's almost basically the female Alan Babbage. because it looks like there's no technique and there's no skill in what she's doing, but she's actually deceptively skillful. Like what she's doing is effective because it's only her that can kind of do it, if that makes sense. Like when you look at the even sort of an upper body movement, the way she comes in, she is like the true epitome of a pressure fighter that's just gonna say, it's me and you. If you can't handle what I have, like you're either going to quit or you're just going to get beat up for 10 rounds, because there's not going to be any jousting. We're not going to be angling for position. We're not going to be trying to work out range. It's a fight. But she does it in a way that is deceptively, it looks unskilled, but it's deceptively skillful. The way she'll slip underneath the other opponent's shot, that she throws the overhand, the way she throws the overhand right, she's got mad combos where she'll literally throw an overhand right, then throw it like a straight left into a left hook to a right uppercut, like it's all in one motion. And you're just like, how, and you can't really prepare for it because no one really fights like that. There's only a few people that do. Now, obviously, against like the most supreme of boxers, like that can hit a move, you would have to, like, they would obviously be able to keep on the outside, keep away, and just, piece her up all night, because technically she just doesn't have that kind of ability. But for everyone who is either a boxer puncher or like a pure boxer puncher with actual like weight behind their shots, if they're not that kind of person, if they're not sort of that level, she'll have pretty much the run of all of them. Which is why, but that's the same reason why I think she's asking for the Chantel Cameron fight. That's why I think Cameron beats her, because Cameron's got the dog like she's got the punch, probably got a slightly harder punch than she's got, but she's also got the craft to maneuver around the ring, same as Katie Taylor did.
Yeah, I mean, there's some scathing comments in the chat. Ash has said, McCaskill is horrible to watch. Someone please rid her of her belts. Jessica fighting in that unorthodox stance is a problem.
Yeah.
No masculine. Danny, the Nikita Ababi versus Jesus Martinez fight, I barely watched any of that. I mean, Ababi just seemed to boss that one. So I'm not gonna.
I tried to watch Before the Bell the other day. I was like early hours of the morning, but I didn't get through it. Like I did fall asleep. So I've still got a lot of those fights to watch. But I only saw the main card, the last 3 fights. I still got to watch Ray Ford as well.
So Wayne Fitness says that Ibarra had a good straight right and uppercut. She landed once and had success. I mean, the way McCaskill fights, she doesn't care what you throw. She's all, she's like the female Mike Tyson. She's just about, I'm going to come in there and throw everything with bad intentions. And if you hit me, you hit me, but I'm going to walk through you.
Which is a dangerous strategy, because it's not everyone's power you can take. But I think part of the reason, because she's always on the front foot so much, the other person is normally boxing off the back. They're not really getting that full leverage and talking to their shots. So I think that's part of her strategy. If I keep coming forward, then they have to move backwards, which means a lot of people can generate supreme power from the back foot, especially women. So that's probably one of her tactics as to why she's, as successful as she is.
Yeah.
But again, that's all that's like deceptive skill, because we don't notice it, but it works. It's been working. And as much times as she did get hit against Ibarra, it's like Ibarra just thought, no, this is long, because I just taking shots after shot after shot.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that she's catching Ibarra means she's effective, but from a purist perspective, those long hooking, whether her arm is literally straight and she's throwing wide hooks, and you just think, my God, a technician would take her apart. And obviously, as Gorgaruga has said, Katie Taylor has already beat her, and they apparently want the rematch. That's all wrong for McCaskill. Katie Taylor is just too polished a fighter McCaskill's wide punching and that kind of attitude of, you know, I'm just going to hit you with the kitchen sink kind of fighter. You know, as much as someone like Delphine Persoon is a problem child to Katie Taylor, the difference is Delphine doesn't throw haymakers from the side. She's a straight down the middle fighter. She'll come at you with the straight left, right, all day, all night. And that creates more of a problem for Katie Taylor than what McCaskill would offer.
Yeah. And just to answer Muller's question, you're right. It wasn't a catch weight. Every fight that Jessica's fought at 147 has been at a catch weight of 144, which is why after the second fight with Cecilia Breakus was saying, well, look, I hope that we can run it back sometime in the future, but at the real weight, not, you know, not at this catch weight that we had for the first two fights. And I said, as I said on my video, that she's literally eating her way to welterweight because she's not big enough really to be up there, which is why she's never come in at the 147 limit, which is one of the reasons I thought Ibarra might have a lot more success than she did. But again, she fought the wrong plan to start with, then kind of got into a groove, and then all of a sudden she just did the maddest no mas, and I don't understand how or for what purpose, because it's not even like, oh, her face was battered and destroyed and she was running, like she was still having some success. She was getting pieced up, but it wasn't like a, you know, a total dominated, just brutal beatdown. So I don't know, unless maybe when Jessica dropped down and, you know, she gave her the hip toss, and maybe that was what threw her off. She's like, no, I don't want to wrestle.
So I want you to listen to this bit of audio because I just found this quite hilarious. There's no pictures, just audio.
Looking for a big fight. You said you're really a 140-pounder fighting at welterweight. Chantel Cameron is out there with some of those 140-pound titles. What do you think of that fight?
Call me, girl. We've been kind of doing this roundabout thing since about 2018. I called her out. She didn't want anything to do with me. I got my first WBC belt, and then she called me out, and we had different plans, and now she's done spectacular in her career. We're doing so well at 147, but like you said, I think it's time to move back down to 140. There's some great fighters at 140. 147 doesn't interest me, so yeah, Rick Ramos is going to hook that up. Call him.
You are looking for a big fight.
So she clearly has extinguished herself at 147. She's looking at 140 now, as she said. Call me, girl. I kind of like the style in which she said it. It was like, yeah, call me, girl. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the fight definitely can happen, but if she starts to vacate those 147 belts, which she's claiming to, it won't, because Cameron just said, I'll fight you, but we'll fight for your titles. I want to fight for Undisputed. I've been supposed to fight for Undisputed at 140. It ain't happened yet, so I'm fighting for Undisputed. Now, if Jessica is, as she said, if she's a natural 140 pounder, then the same thing I've said before. You make the fight at the limit of 140 and you just put all the belts from both divisions on the line. Then whatever happens after that, even if you got to vacate one set of belts because you can't reign in two different weight classes at the same time, whatever, make the fights that way. That's how I would do it. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. So if she wants to do it at 140 and she wants a chance to be a two-time super lightweight champ, no problem. You can do that, but just make sure that you have it so that all the belts from all the divisions can be on the line. Same with the Davis and Santa Cruz thing, when they had the regular at one weight and then the super at the other. So that's how I would do it, and it can quite easily be done.
Cool. Right. So let's move on. There's a couple of comments here for you. Have you seen Kelly Reese is a Hollywood star now? And also the Chantel Cameron fight will never happen.
Well, probably not. She says that there's some medical issue, but up till now we still ain't never seen anything. But yeah, I think she's supposed to be on True Detective or something, from what I can remember. I mean, yeah, she probably might vacate those belts, but I think that what's her name? Jessica Kamara, I think she deserves a shot. So I think that should be Chantel Cameron's next fight if it's not going to be McCaskill. Kamara deserves a shot.
Okay.
Because most people think that she beat Kaylee Reese in their fight anyway, and that Kaylee Reese got a gift decision. So let her fight for Chantel's belts, and if Kaylee Reese has got this medical thing and doesn't fight or whatever, and she gets stripped, then you can have those vacant titles go on the line as well.
There's a question for the two of us to get our heads around from North Bank Bren. Do you think that Mikey Garcia's retirement is possibly a move to get bigger purse out of the supposed Conor Benn fight? Now, bearing in mind that I only really heard about the link between Conor Benn and Mikey Garcia recently, and then all of a sudden Mikey's retiring, I'm not really sure what to think of that. Is Conor Benn that desperate that he's going to pay stupid money to fight Mikey Garcia? Hell no, I don't think so.
Well, you got to remember, it's not Conor paying, it's Eddie. Eddie wants the optics, innit? So if you wanna step him up in this, oh well, you guys say he's not fighting like the big guys. Well, Mikey is probably the biggest name that they're going to be able to get for him that has any sort of level of danger that is safe enough. Because everyone else with a big name in that division for him to fight are the killers that they don't quite want to put him in with just yet until the titles are in the picture. Obviously, and Broner, we don't know what Broner's doing. And then, there's like, unless you're bringing up Ramirez or someone from 140, he makes the most logical sense, even coming off of a loss. So
Eddie loves a Mikey Garcia type of opponent. Great for the Ben brand, for the casuals. Absolutely. But
great.
Let's be honest. There's plenty other names out there that he could pull up. Look, if he could pull out an Adrian Broner out of the hat, I probably imagine that Adrian Broner would come cheaper and be less dangerous than Mikey Garcia.
I don't think I don't think he come cheap. I think they'd be about the same price. But you got to remember, Broner has still got that whole PBC thing, and every time he says, "Oh yeah, show me the bag," he still doesn't. He still never comes over. So if you're with Mikey, you know that at least no matter, even if you got to overpay him, he's still going to turn up.
Yeah,
which is what Broner and those guys, you can't really bank on them. So.
Okay, so Mikey apparently has lost the love for boxing. Well,
he never had the love for it to begin with. He said from the very beginning he never really liked boxing. He's just good at it. So like he said that years ago.
Danny, in answer to your question, I'm doing well, but bro, it's hard times here in the UK.
Yeah. I ain't got that kind of feel, I'm afraid.
I'm not running with that Arab money. I'm not that guy. Maybe someone like G Chain. I know he's a guy that he likes the filthy lucre. So but yeah, we will.
Maestro might end up over there on some press accreditations.
We'll talk about this one a little bit later, Hot Pies. So yeah, let's move on to the next fight from that huge night out from San Antonio. The next fight that we've got to break down is one that I took a great deal of interest in, and I have some footage. It's very short again, because of copyright. I'm literally just patching together some footage from the crowd and some pictures. So feel free to talk over this space. It's your boy MJ Akhmadaliev. Yeah.
Akhmadaliev put on a really good performance against Ronnie Rios. Oh, we got the BAM stuff up on the screen.
Why have I got that? Hang on. Oh, where's Akhmadaliev?
Well, we can always watch a good little beat down, so it's not a problem.
Oh dear. I'm gonna have to load that.
That's okay. Well, we just talk about it. It's fine. So yeah, MJ. A very composed performance. His movement was a lot better than it's been recently. He definitely looked a lot more invigorated. His power punching is very spiteful. He's got good punch placement. The way he was basically making Rios fall into shots. He was making him overextend. Even when he got hit with some stuff, he's got a really good poker face as well. Broke Rios down pretty much round by round. The body work was what started to really tell the tale, because Rios wasn't really getting too much issues to the head initially, even though those were hard shots, he was tucking up quite well. And I predicted for him to sort of beat him within sort of round 7 to 11 by a knockout, and then he goes and makes me a round late. But it was a great performance, and it definitely sets up a Fulton fight a lot more nicely than before. Because previously I'd said that Fulton just got too many different dimensions for him. He hasn't got the power, so he's not going to sit in the pocket and try and trade with him. He'll box off the back foot, counter punch, and sort of work his way in that way. But having seen how MJ boxed over the weekend and seeing that he actually switched it up and he's got that in his locker, plus the extensive amateur background, I might have to do a bit more research and on my thought process if that fight was to take place.
So once again, I have to turn to my my notes because, as I said, I've watched that fight as well twice over because I, like yourself, am very excited at the prospect of Steve Fulton fighting MJ. So looking at MJ, look, the jab is supreme. The southpaw jab is excellent, and then he throws an overhand right from the jab, and it lands on the top of the head in the same fashion that Triple G's punches land. So it's that kind of arc, and it comes over, and it was hitting Rios with regularity. And I then watched Fulton versus Roman, thinking to myself, well, let me compare and try to superimpose the two fights. And what I noticed is Steph Fulton drops his left hand regularly. And clearly that means that Akhmadaliev would have a great home for the overhand right if Steph doesn't adjust his footwork and his defense to deal with that. Now, Steph Fulton clearly has the advantage in terms of speed and movement. He's a much faster fighter. He's much slicker, moving in and out. He's got very good defense, against Roman. He's supreme boxing. He's in and out, rat-a-tat and out. Can he do that against MJ? My first thoughts are, yes, he's just too slick for MJ. But if MJ is able to close distance and make this a dogfight for Fulton, Fulton could be in for a lot of trouble. So the other thing I look at, is the right hook. He's almost got a home for that right hook into the body. Whereas most southpaw fighters are looking at using a jab and then throwing a straight down the pipe, right backhand into the face of an orthodox fighter. What MJ does is he wraps himself around into a right hook into the body or into the head, and he gets it with regularity. Now, admittedly, Ronnie Rios isn't at the level of Steph Fulton. But what I would say is there's enough evidence in that fight and previous for Fulton to have to do something to adjust for what MJ brings to the table. His body shots, vicious. He brought some great body shots. Now, something funny happened because it looked like he hurt his left hand at about round 8.
No, it was round 6.
Was it round 6? So he was shaking the hand, and clearly he wasn't throwing it. But of Ronnie Rios with one hand was very impressive because even though he was fighting with one hand, he still controlled the distance. He controlled the tempo. And Ronnie Rios was sparring with Bam Rodriguez for this fight. So you got to know he was getting top preparation for this fight. So that in mind, I'm looking at this fight, and like yourself, this is a fight that, should it be made, and I hope it does, there's a lot to read into how this fight unfolds. As I said, Fulton, faster, better footwork, but susceptible to a southpaw, to me. And if MJ closes distance, uses good footwork to trap him, Fulton could be in trouble. But the prospect of this fight, to me, is salivating. I'm looking forward to it being matched. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
No,
See what the guys are
like I
saying.
said, man, I'm definitely keen on watching that one. It's gonna be, and the thing is, because it is a classic, it's not even a pressure fight. It's like a boxer puncher versus a pure boxer, which normally the pure boxer has the stylistic advantage, but he's almost like Akhmadaliev is more of a pure boxer puncher. So he's got a bit of the movement and the, you know, sort of the in and out, trying to land shots that way. Whereas Fulton is very much a pure boxer, but almost at times, if he feels like he's got you or got the rhythm of you, he becomes like a pressuring pure boxer, because he'll come forward and like walk you down in, you know, not necessarily like he can stop you, but he'll walk you down, he'll pot shot you, slightly slip out of range, and then walk you back down again and make you throw, make you miss, and then attack you, and then in and out again. So the hybrid of styles is there, but I just feel like in terms of, I feel like Fulton's probably got more in the arsenal except the power. But just because of how well scored that Medaliev is, the fact that he's only had 11 fights means nothing, especially when you consider they've both got the same amount of knockouts. Whereas Medaliev's had 11 fights and Fulton's had, like, I think 26 or something, or 23, I think. So, yeah, that one definitely could come down to the power, because it's not like one of them is leagues ahead of the other in terms of skill and the ring IQ. So
yeah,
it'd be a good fight, very good fight.
So Ash has said he is Akhmadaliev is beautiful to watch, another technician with spite. He follows on by saying that MJ landed that right hook for fun when he had that one good hand. Rios couldn't do anything about it.
Very true.
So yeah, that sets up the undisputed fight, and hopefully, as I said, both fighters seem to want it. So, you know, we hope we can get that together. And then obviously, you know, if they can get that undisputed matched up, then the fight after could potentially be the Monster Inoue from the lower weight coming up after he's destroyed Paul Butler. So, you know, look, there's a lot of great fighting in and around that group of weight categories at Bantam and Super Bantam. So, yeah, all exciting stuff. Who else? What else have we got going on the chat? Spokady, you made a point. I think you were talking about Mikey Garcia.
No, I was talking about AJ.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because Mr. Riri said, how long do we support AJ fighting abroad to get the bag?
I'm always going to support my boy. I don't care. Get the bag. I'm sorry. What kind of idiot doesn't go and secure the bag when the bag is open and ready to be taken? I don't care who you are, Mr. Riri, but you'd be a fool if you were given an option to earn 5 times as much as you were earning in the UK just to satisfy the pleasure of fans. I'm sorry. The money is always going to be the draw. Look, boxing ain't a game you play with. Yeah, it ain't a game to play. You go in, you earn your money, you come out the sport. Yeah. Nobody leaves money on the table in the game of boxing, bro. Don't be silly. Okay, that's my response to that. Ash says the fight is a 50-50 split. Usyk decided to go to Saudi too. Of course, because the money's bigger. The money's way bigger. So it looks like people want us to talk about this AJ Usyk thing, right?
Well, that being said, right, okay, let's have a look. Okay, so even though it's a 50-50 split and everything, yeah, they would have had a say in it, but ultimately, I don't think they could have really argued or said, well, no, we don't want to go there. Like, once the choice has kind of been made, I think it would pretty much have been a case of, well, you either come there or you don't. Because remember, even though it's a 50-50 split, but he's still technically not the A side in the fight. he like Usyk's 17 promotions aren't the one putting on the fight. It's a matchroom event with Eddie Hearn deciding where it's going to be staged.
Mm.
So I mean, in that sense, yeah, he went, but it's not like I don't really think he had the choice. Like, like no, I don't want this one. Like, we're gonna do it back at Tottenham, which for all intents and purposes, a lot of people said as much as it's a great stadium, it's a nightmare for travel. Like in terms of getting travel sort of them times at night. So I don't know. Personally, I don't necessarily mind, but I feel like I do understand kind of what the other guy was saying. So not spoken D, Mr. Riri. Just from the simple fact of obviously, look, you've got like your fans, your casual fans, your hardcore fans are all here. Like they're the ones that kind of got you where you're supposed to, where you are now, and not all of them. Some of them are probably just about going to be able to buy an £80 ticket to go and support you in the stadium, let alone paying like what 3, 4, 5, £600 for a flight plus a couple grand for a ticket, and then accommodation, and then go to a country where they can't even drink because that's the culture they're coming from. Like you can imagine where some people will be like, it's a bit much that every time that you have these big fights, like this is what you do. Now, I'm like you. I say get the bag, but I can totally understand someone that's maybe an avid AJ fan that don't really got the money like that. Because remember, he's not fighting 3, 4, 5 times a year like the old school guys used to do. It's once or twice. So imagine not being able to see like your favorite fighter for like 3 years because he hasn't fought anywhere close to where you can get to, or he's fought in a venue that has only got 1,000 tickets out, which means that the prices are sky high. It's weird. Like I get it, but as they say, you're not in this game forever. So
yeah. And as Lloyd Hannigan famously said, you don't get paid for overtime in this business. So get your stuff, do what you got to do, and get the hell out of there before your brain cells explode. We all know the story of many a fighter who hung on in boxing way too long and didn't look after themselves sufficiently and ended up with all kind of issues later on in life.
Yeah. Just to answer Northbank. No, I agree. Usyk's team, they did have a say on the venue, but I'm saying ultimately I don't believe that if they said no, that we not go in there, I don't think they've got enough right in the fight to actually turn it down. They had to say, yeah, we're okay with that. What's the money? But I don't think they could because remember, Usyk said before he wanted Ukraine. If he had that much of a say, that would have been on the table. Obviously before the war and whatnot, but there's other places he could have asked for. So that's why I say that yeah, he had a say, but it was still not his event. So he kind of just had to go where they was going anyway. And I guess his compensation is the 50-50 split.
So on the screen, you can see some pictures from the presser, the launch event that was held in Saudi Arabia. They had that fake sort of gladiatorial type meet-up in a ring, all nicely chiseled, as you can see. Then there was some extra stuff on the side where we saw Usyk training on the beach, looking, focused for it. He's got his hair sorted in some new Mohican type style. I didn't even know what to call that haircut, but whatever it is, he's in the zone. He's ready for war. What was your thought on the way this was presented by way of the pictures and movies that we've seen?
I mean, look, they're doing their promo for the for the intro to the big fight, and obviously for the adverts to promote it. Being that it's the zone, they've got to get it in and make sure that they can put it on all the YouTube channels. It can go maybe even on some of the terrestrial TV ads. Some of them have got advert space there. Probably end up on BBC. So they did what they had to do. But one thing funny enough, I'm gonna credit Boxing Beats and Rhymes for this. So if you guys don't subscribe to him, subscribe to his channel. Brilliant work. He made a comment basically about the not so much the stare down stuff, but he said that while you may not pay too much attention to the stare down that they had at the press conference, when you saw Usyk like dancing with the crowd, like inside the crowd, he goes, if he was AJ, he'd be more concerned about that because I think it's something to do with a lot of people when they dance, like there's dancing releases a lot of endorphins, it releases stress, tension, and it allows you to focus yourself a lot more. So whereas AJ seems a bit more uptight, Usyk, probably the reason that he's able to handle pressure so much is because he's always moving and doing something to just alleviate that stress. Or being in the crowd is almost like it's like a routine, it's like a ritual, and he's drawing their energy, their calm energy, their excitement, drawing it into himself and using that as positive fuel for his training and whatnot. Now, it's a very interesting watch if anyone hasn't seen it, but I can kind of understand where he's coming from because when we all were, oh, how come Usyk's always so switched on, able to maintain his focus for so long? It takes a lot to do that. But if you're alleviating stress all the time, then yeah, I guess it's a very easy way to make sort of to keep you in a certain zone. And we see him in all of his training videos. He's always dancing. So clearly there must be something in the rhythm and the motion of the dance and keeping languid and keeping elusive that must be a benefit to him, Loma, and sort of some of those other guys. So yeah, I feel like it's anyone who hasn't seen it, have a look and sort of give us your opinions in the comments. But I definitely feel like it was a valid argument. So shout out to Boxing Beats and Rhymes.
Okay, so I'm going to address a couple of messages in from Maestro, but I don't want this to become a debate, guys, in the chat, because quite simply, Russia still can't host title fights, but Saudi Arabia can. What goes on in the world goes on in the world, my brother. What one country considers to be bad, another considers to be atrocious. What another country considers to be atrocious, another one stomachs. As I've been talking about violence globally for such a long time, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Yeah, America has the worst history of violence perpetrated in foreign climes than any nation in the history of world war. In the history. So Maestro, my friend, you cannot come in here talking up that bullshit that what Saudi Arabia is doing when your own country are the worst protagonists of crime against society and humanity in all parts of the world. Enough said. Anyway, moving on.
Well, Maestro agrees with you. I'll give him that.
Thank you. So what else have we got that I wanted to bring up? Got so much. You wanted to talk about this thing.
Well, it was part of the week, so I mean, we can address it. I mean, Miller came in at like 345 pounds, so he there was before everything was literally it was about his work rate and his pressure. He laid on the ropes for the majority of the fight, so it's clear now where the work rate came from. Like we can all 100% confirm that it was the special sources, and yeah.
Oh, the special sources, love it.
But I said also in my video, look, the fact that he was virtually going life and death with Bracamonte tells me that he is absolutely finished at any decent level. He's definitely on that high level journeyman gatekeeper level now.
Yeah, absolutely 100%
Ring rust
agree
or
with
not,
you on
doesn't
that one,
matter.
my brother. He is dog meat to me now.
That's all we need to say about that.
Super heavyweight. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. Let's talk about this little bad boy. Came up for me in the last 24 hours or last few days, I should say. Sorry. So Michael Benson, quite well respected commentator for boxing, says that Eddie Hearn on the Beterbiev versus Bivol. Bivol is ready to fight for undisputed September, October, and November. If we wait, Bivol's going to make a defense and then do the Canelo rematch. So if you want to be undisputed, strike now. Don't talk about other fights. Let's make the fight. And Eddie Hearn said he'd be willing to make Bivol versus Beterbiev on Beterbiev's ESPN network, and it doesn't have to be on DAZN. Does Top Rank want it? Eddie says he would love to do a blind bid with Bob Arum, where each puts their offer in an envelope and the bigger offer gets the rights to the fight. So, what make you of that, my friend Base?
I mean, it's an interesting theory, but it will never happen. Purely because Bob Arum he doesn't like to part with money. So we know that if you have a blind envelope bid, it's very similar to a purse bid. You're gonna have to pay what you think is going to get you the fight from the other person, which therefore means that you're going to have to pay more than what you wanted to. He's not really in the the business of doing that. And so I feel as if he probably would. I don't really think he'd go for it unless Eddie just ultimately said, "Look, we'll let you have it. You fine, just take it." And then obviously we're just going to take the winner back to our platform after, which would be Bivol. That's the kind of thing Eddie would say. I don't see it happening next, unless both fighters literally like plant their feet in the ground and say, "I'm not fighting anyone else but him." But
So
there is a lot more.
Here we have a repeat of Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. Both fighters need to do what you just said: plant their feet in and say, we don't take no alternative but this fight, because Eddie's right. Beterbiev go and fight Anthony Yard. On Bivol fights Buatsi, and then he's got to fight Canelo. You've put that undisputed potential fight a year away, and who knows what will happen after all of that. So now is the time to strike. I agree with Eddie on that one.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Maestro for correcting you. He's like, I'm not a citizen of the US. He's a green card holder, got a British passport. He's one of us.
I never said he was. I never said he was. I'm just saying.
No, but you said your country. You did say your country, so that's like
he lives there, so it's his country. I live here. It's my country.
Oh no, I don't really. You know what? Let me not get into those semantics because I don't claim this country like that.
Let's not get in there. Let's not. Okay. We have to wait for the likes of Arum and Warren to kick the bucket for some of these bad practices of boxing to reduce. The sport would be much better, I believe, when them guys finally get out of it. But then, the same could be said of the likes of Ellaby, Al Heyman. There's loads of, definitely need to get rid of Don King. But yeah, the sport does need to move on. There's a lot of things that could be so much better, especially how we look after the elderly fighters and those that have to retire early. So there's lots of things that need to be addressed. Of course, the Alphabet Gang, especially the WBA, creates such a mess of the sport. So yeah, lots to be done there. What else have we got to talk about, my friend?
I mean, personally, we can talk about this now, but I don't really think we need to until the week of the fight or to break it down.
Well, I'm just announcing it because I know someone in the chat did mention that this had been announced. And yes, I'm just going to give you the very early feelers of what this is. This is a great fight at cruiserweight. Chris Billam-Smith has come on leaps and bounds. I think I've forgotten his first name.
Isaac Chamberlain.
Isaac. I think Isaac Chamberlain has got a very difficult job to defeat the resurgent Chris Billum Smith. You know, I personally see Billum Smith causing a lot of problems for Riakporhe in a rematch. So, interesting fight that it's been made. You know, I admire the two guys for saying, you know, look, we'll fight each other. You know, it's a great domestic scrap. What's your thoughts, Base?
My thoughts are, I'll talk about it nearer to the time.
All right, my friend. We'll talk about that nearer to the time. This foolishness, I don't know. You're the one who said, "Oh, I'm interested in Jake Paul." Am I not right?
I am.
So, what's your thoughts having seen that Tommy's been refused access to the UK?
I
To
mean,
the
the
US.
US for the well, yeah, for the press conference, it said that as Esther hasn't come through. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look great, but he's got a couple months to get it sorted out. If he can, I guess, whatever checks they have to do or whatever he's got to get submitted in, if he wants to fight bad enough, he'll get it done. That's pretty much it.
I don't think he's got anything wrong in his estimate. I think it's the link with the Kinahan family.
Yeah, it might be, but my point is like if he's whatever, if he wants that fight bad enough, then they'll sort something out to the point where he will sort something so he can get into the country, even if it's just for like 4 or 5 days. But there's always issues with the Furies, and maybe that was part of the reason why John was asking to get it moved the other day when he was trying to say, oh, it's because of him and Tyson not being able to go, but maybe he secretly knew that Tommy weren't going to be able to go either. But again, if the fight doesn't happen this time, there won't be a third rescheduling, and it definitely will be known as Tommy Fumbles or Timmy Fumbles for whatever. So
yeah. So as Ash says, you can't sort something out for a banned list. So I don't see what he can do. If you've been banned, you've been banned. You ain't getting around it. But moving on, this weekend we got just the one fight to talk about.
Oh, so what, you disrespecting Joe Joyce and Christian Hammer?
Oh man, that
fight. Oh, you forgot about that one, yeah?
You know what? I did load that up a bit earlier, but it's gone.
That's all good.
That's all right. I'm glad you're there to cover me. So yeah, Joe Joyce is fighting Christian Hammer this weekend in what appears to me like a blowout. I don't see Hammer causing Joe Joyce any issues whatsoever. Wouldn't surprise me if he's taken out within 6 rounds. What's your take on that one?
If Hammer can hold, then maybe 10 rounds. But chances are he might just feel like, oh, it's a long night, and yeah, quit. I don't think he'll get knocked out. I think he might quit on his stall again. That's the easier way for him to get taken out. Okay.
So there you have it. Base's pick. He thinks that one is a finisher for Joyce within 6 to 10. Who else is on that card? Cunningham versus Tete. Callum Johnson versus McCalkin. And Noakes versus Vidal. You want to talk about any of those fights?
Nope.
Because they all look like they're one-sided battles for me. That's on Queensbury BT Sport this Saturday from Wembley.
Yeah.
Wembley Oval Arena. So if you're interested in that one, that's where your boxing action in the UK is.
I'm sure there's still plenty of tickets for anyone who wants to go.
Probably very much so. Just thinking, I might even go down there myself because I'm not sure I've got anything on this Saturday. Bradis versus Opetay. Do you know much about this guy?
Opetay he's a good fighter. Very credible, but I don't think he's not ready for this level just yet. The most danger he's going to present is the fact that he's a southpaw.
And he's fighting on home soil.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. But I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Bradus is gonna allow it to go to the cards. And even if it does, like we can see that normally in the majority of his fights, he's dominant enough that even in someone else's country, like he's still gonna show that he won. But I don't, I see it. I don't actually see it going the distance. I do think he will stop Jai Patel. Um, in sort of around round 8 to 11. That's kind of the I'm going to go sort of in the I think round 8 or 9 to be honest. But it will be a decent fight while it lasts, provided obviously there's no issues with mad jet lag or like his food's been spiked or anything like that.
Okay, so there you have our breakdown of the week gone. Some of the stories that are emanating around the boxing community right now. I did see some rumbles of stories about the Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall. Has anything happened on that in the
It's been
last?
the fight date is the 10th of September with supposedly the unification fight between Michaela Meyer and Alicia Baumgardner on the undercard as a chief support. That's the rumors at the moment, but nothing more sort of than that has come out. So we'll see. We'll just have to wait for that one to unfold, and then we can touch on it when it's all official.
Okay. Some intel coming in from Gorgaruga that S-Jam Boxing says that Joyce versus White is in talks. Coming apparently from Joe's management company. If it happens, it'd be a good fight. I would pay for that. I would pay for that. That would be a very good fight. Have you heard anything on that one at all, Base?
I mean, I've heard that he's in talks with Joe Joyce. He's in talks with Joseph Parker. I think there's a few others that I've heard as well. From what I've heard, essentially, he's having chats with everyone. He's going to look to see what money is going to be presented for each fight, and then he'll take the biggest, sort of the biggest offering. That's the talks that I've heard.
Okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we have extended a little bit on tonight, but we've had a great time going through all the top stories in the game. Is your links for Base. Don't forget he's gonna have his shows on his platform, so get yourself over to his platform, his YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, and follow him for his great content. Monday Night Smoke will be back. There is no pod this Thursday. Travis and KG are busy, so don't expect that pod on Thursday. But as I said, the Monday Night Smoke will be when they come back. And of course, we'll be back next week to review the fights that have taken place. And I think the week following, we've got a pretty nice one to review.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that there's no pod on Thursday means there will be extra content from me because I don't like to mix and match and cross pollinate. So yeah, I'll have a couple dropping prior to the weekend. So yeah, hop over to my channel if you're not already subscribed over there. Appreciate it for everyone who is and that does watch and contribute.
Cool. If you guys want to follow me, my ticker tape now is followed, so you can see where you can find me. Feel free to jump on my socials and follow. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Base, final comments.
As always, big respect to everyone who does come out each and every week, and even those who don't. Just maybe this is your first time having a look. If you come back, much salute. If you don't, then it's all good. But thank you for coming this time. Thank you for obviously keeping the sort of the content bubbling. We're going to keep trying to elevate and do as much as we can. We're hoping to obviously bring out. There's another show which is in talks, which I won't talk about just yet. But hopefully, if that comes off, I think you guys will all really enjoy that. That'll be really special. But yeah, thank you, just everyone. Always, like I said, keep riding with us, and we will make sure that we don't let you down, or at least we will try our hardest not to.
Okay, thanks very much, Base. Have a great weekend, buddy, and we'll see you next week. Guys, thank you very much. Bye for now.